Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staab for Cruise Control. Welcome, and we've got a great hour of information, great 2 hours of automotive information, right, Les
Yeah,
Jackson? Yeah,
absolutely. We are ready to roll.
yeah, and we're going to get started with a great story that I think virtually everyone will be excited about. Average new car prices are dropping. We'll tell you how much, won't we?
It is long overdue.
Yeah.
And speaking of prices, Kia puts price on its Seltos crossover.
Yeah, that is their entry level all wheel drive
Right?
CUV. So that will be great, and we'll talk about that. Then talking tech, Toyota and Exxon are teaming up for clean fuel that can reduce emissions by 75%. We'll tell you how they're going to do that. And
That's
remember this car?
it is considered one of the greatest cars of all time.
Yeah, it is a great
It's
business story too. How they base.
spectacular.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about that. The 59th anniversary of the Ford Mustang is coming up, and our Ford Heritage and Brand Manager Ted Ryan is going to join us. Always a good interview. Uh, my favorite year of Mustang is probably '66, and I like the fastback myself.
Yeah, same here. Um, I was there with my friends in college at a dealership 59 years ago this week when they tore the paper off the plate glass windows, and we went in to look at these things. All of us wanted one.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go and talk about the history when we come back. So stay tuned to Cruise Control.
This is Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
That's right, your ride is about to begin. Whoops, actually, it started already. Welcome to
That's
Cruise
right.
Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. And we've got a full show for you with all the latest automotive information. And Les, we're starting this hour with the average new car price dropping. We'll tell you how much. Dropping, actually get it for below
Actually, yeah.
MSRP.
The word negotiable is back.
Yeah. It's a great thing.
So don't let them get you
Overcharging.
down.
Yeah.
I was going to say something much harsher. But anyway, Kia has put a price on its Seltos crossover. You know it'll sell.
Oh, yeah. This is one of their most popular models. It is their entry-level all-wheel drive model. You know, people always say, why didn't they make the Soul all-wheel drive? This is sort of what it is. Nice vehicle, great new styling. We'll tell you all about it, of course, loaded with features.
Yep.
Because
as
it is a
always.
Kia. Yeah. And then you and I are going to talk tech about Exxon and Toyota teaming up for some super clean fuel.
That is correct, and it's a good thing. We're going to see a lot of this. And 59 years ago, the Mustang came out. If you were alive, you sure knew about it.
Yes.
It was a big deal, and Ford Heritage and Brand Manager Ted Ryan is back with us as our guest. We're going to go over a whole bunch of neat stuff about it. It's such a great story from every level.
Yeah, I understand your favorite is the Mustang too.
Yeah,
especially especially the 4-cylinder, right?
With a turbocharged 4-cylinder.
I actually thought it wasn't a bad-looking car, but based around the Pinto, right?
So you're the one. It did have. What's really odd is it had a really good front suspension. It's been used.
That's
on
right.
A bunch of modified vehicles. I used one and put it on my '55 T-Bird.
Yes, it's absolutely true. The Mustang 2 front suspension, you would see that on street rods and that, you'd be like, wow, why'd they do that?
Well, it was a good, well-designed front suspension.
That's
the only thing.
The other weird thing about that, when you go to a junkyard, if you ever see a Ford Granada, it won't have a rear end in it because
you're right.
It was one of the last vehicles to have the 9-inch Ford rear end, which is very good, and people love it for hot rodding and severe duty. So you don't really see a Granada with a rear axle on it if you go to a salvage yard.
No.
You may not see a Granada at this point, but hey, when we come back, we're going to delve into it and tell you why and how much prices are going down on new cars. If you're headed out to a showroom, you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine. You know us. I'm Les. He's Fred.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about new car prices finally, without feeling sad and all down in the dumps, because finally the new car prices are dropping after being not only inflated, but at the dealer level, they were very lucky that the usury laws were gotten rid of back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're looking for a specific vehicle, I have to say you really shouldn't pay over MSRP right now.
Absolutely.
Unless you're looking for like a Bronco Raptor or something like that that's very rare, right?
That's right. Anything that's rare and limited production, well, pay the price. But, and it's not like they're cheap, because the average is still right around $48,000. But
yeah,
but at least you shouldn't be paying over that. And
well, there was a new report from Kelley Blue Book, and that they've revealed the average price of new cars in America dropped below the manufacturer's suggested retail price. That's the price on the sticker, for the first time in 20 months. In January, the average new car price dropped from a record high in December 2022, reaching $49,388, and now it's dropped further to $48,008. That's a month-to-month decrease of 1.1%, or $550 compared to February. February's reading of $48,558. But the average transaction price, or as they call it, the ATP, remains 3.8% higher than it was a year prior. So,
well, go ahead.
And manufacturers are also spending more on incentives, reaching the highest level in a year at 3.2% of average transaction price, with an average of about $1,500. Although I don't see a lot of incentives yet, do you?
I don't. Maybe they're doing it in financing.
That
But
might be. Yeah.
but the beauty is that the overall sales volumes are up 20%. Anytime the sales volumes are up, you've got a much better chance to make a deal on a car. So
Yeah.
don't get bullied.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too. It's very easy to check. Um, you can buy a new car from any dealer. It doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
And I did that sometimes when we were doing an at the wheel review. I would just price out the car. Like, what would it be with this? What would it be with that? So I can give like a little comparison to uh, our listeners where, you know, if you got the bigger engine, it would cost you this much more. Or if you got this package, you would get this much more. And I found that immediately I'd go on and there'd be 10 dealers there, and some would charge $3,000 over sticker, and others would say, nope, it's MSRP. And so
Yeah.
it was very easy to avoid the dealers that were gouging, you know?
And yeah, and so many people really believe that you have to buy from your local dealer because the other dealers won't do the warranty work, which is not true and never has been true.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so buy wherever you can get the best deal and, drive over there, wherever it is,
yeah,
get it,
yeah,
and have it serviced locally. The dealer makes money.
Yeah.
First of all, he's required legally. He's a dealer. He's a franchise holder.
right.
But they make money on warranty repairs. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're paid, so they're not going to, it's not going to be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely, you remember, you're in the driver's seat because you can just walk away, you know? And
Yep.
if you feel uncomfortable, you just walk away. There's plenty of cars. There'll be one in the color you want or something you like. So that's my advice. Always make sure
Absolutely.
that you stay in control of the deal, and there's no reason not to. And you can always say, well, I listened to Cruise Control, and they did that story from Kelley Blue Book, and they said people are buying at MSRP or below. So what about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, what about that?
So, it's just it. I never understood why they made buying a vehicle an unpleasant experience. It should be anywhere from just a neutral to a actually fun experience, right?
It should be, and I think by and large, it's much better than it used to be. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
still have very, very aggressive salespeople.
Yeah, take you in the
and,
back room and work you over. Yeah,
Yeah, just don't put up.
go
Be
somewhere
as
else.
aggressive.
Yep. Hey, we'll be right back. We'll tell you about Kia's new Seltos, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. And Les, let's talk about a affordable vehicle. We were just telling you that the average sales price is almost $50,000. You don't have to spend that, though, to get a well-equipped
No, you don't.
vehicle. Kia America, which is their name in America, announced pricing for the 2024 Seltos, which is their small crossover. It's their kind of entry
Yeah.
level, but it's not
Not
entry level
really
by
not
any
small
means.
by old standards, but
Yeah. It's available in LX, S, EX, SX, and the new X line trim because everyone needs to be a muscular off-roader.
that's right. And just for new listeners, not our older listeners, We don't know what all of those terms mean anyway. They're just
Muscular
letters.
off-roader.
No, the names of the bottles.
Oh, well,
They're
yeah.
just letters.
They're just letters. They don't really. They're just a way to denote the amount of
Yeah,
equipment and in
just
there.
to
But
be confusing.
yeah, so let's talk about the pricing on this. The LX, of course, this is available in all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, and the LX model starts with all-wheel drive starts at 24,390. EX front-wheel drive 25,790. The S all-wheel drive 26,490, or in front-wheel drive at 24,990. And then you get a couple of choices of engines with some of the different models. Your base engine is a 2-liter 4-cylinder with a intelligent variable transmission, or that could be also known as a continuously variable transmission. I like how they added intelligently to it.
Yes.
And that puts out 146 horsepower, which is kind of modest.
Well,
But you can opt for the turboed 1.6 with an 8-speed automatic, 195 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. That's not bad.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, fuel economy, it's okay. With that Turbo 4 and all-wheel drive, it's 25 city, 27 highway, 26 combined.
That's not great, but
Okay.
that's the price you pay
Yeah,
for the
okay.
turbo.
Yeah. They're all loaded with a tremendous amount of options, non-options, because they load it all up. But this is something to look at if you want a little all-wheel drive vehicle. It's got the nice two-tone treatment. It's loaded with all kinds of standard things. You have available options like digital two-cut touch keys with compatible smartphones. It has a full host of safety features. So something to look at, the Kia Seltos. I have not driven one in a while. I look forward to driving one soon. It's interesting. You see the gauge cluster is common across Hyundai and Kia. It is that projected gauge cluster, the
Right.
glass cockpit,
Right.
if
Well,
you
I'll
will.
tell you, yeah, what I really like about the Seltos is that it's not too tall. Unlike most SUVs and even crossovers, you can easily reach over halfway over the top. There, I just checked. That's 63 inches tall. It's 5 feet 3 inches,
Mm-hmm.
which is great.
Yeah, great stuff. So one to check out if you're looking for a smaller crossover. It might be something to check into, the Seltos, the Kia Seltos crossover.
Hmm.
Let's talk a little tech, shall we?
Let's do that.
Okay, well, Toyota has teamed up with Exxon to develop a lower carbon gasoline, and both of those companies say the fuel could reduce greenhouse gas emission by 75%. And I believe this is somewhat different than what Porsche is doing with synthetic gasoline. They have opened a facility in South America, where they're I believe it's in Chile, where they're creating synthetic gasoline. But Exxon and Toyota said it starts with what they call their feedstock. The feedstock is combined with ethanol and renewable biomass using a more sustainable process than conventional gasoline production. And as you know, Toyota has advocated a multi-prong approach to zero emissions vehicles. And it looks like Exxon is looking to get involved with this as well.
Well, oil companies realize that that the end is foreseeable, and they're finally getting involved in alternate fuels.
Well, also, it says, I think that you can't just say every vehicle will be completely electric.
No, it's
It
going to
needs
be
to
a
be a
mix.
mix. It needs to be a mix. You just can't do that. And to that note, Toyota talked about having plug-in hybrids where they can get better all-electric range of up to 142 miles. I always thought this was the better way to go because you don't need a super heavy battery to get 500 miles, and that's a lot of range. If you can get 140, 150 miles of range and then have the vehicle convert to a gas-powered hybrid, that would be great. That would be a great compromise.
Yeah. It's practical.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing that buyers would accept.
Yeah.
A lot more.
If you have requirements for electric vehicles in cities, you would have plenty of range in the city. I remember going and driving a Peugeot where the guy said, well, this is a plug-in hybrid. So when you're in a historic city, you would run it on electricity, and then you would hit the switch and turn on the gas engine when you're out on the highway. I thought that was a great idea at the time. It still sounds like a good idea.
It's an excellent idea, and this is the kind of thing that people who live in apartments would tend to buy, because if you want to get an electric-ish car and you live in an apartment, it's tough to find a charging station.
Absolutely. And also, with the smaller battery, you don't necessarily need to put in a charger in your home. You can almost plug it into a regular 110 outlet and just charge it up a little bit at a time. I've done that with plug-in hybrids. And right now, if they have, let's say, an average 30, 40 miles range, that battery will easily charge up in a couple of hours on 110 volts.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea. And hey, we'll keep you up to date. Also, for classic cars, synthetic fuel might be something that is popular in the future. So
there's a great market.
Coming up, we're going to talk about a car less. I don't know. Have you ever heard of this car? I think it's pretty popular. It's called the Ford Mustang.
Vaguely familiar.
After the break, we're going to have Ted Ryan on. Of course, he is Ford Heritage and Brand Manager, and he has created the Ford Heritage Vault. If you ever want to spend some time going through, and you can even find the original brochure for the Mustang, believe it or not. But Mustang is turning 59 on the 17th, just 2 days from now.
Yep.
And that's my favorite, the Fastback. I like the Fastback. 66 would be my favorite. But I like them all. I really do. I know you're the Mustang 2 guy.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mustang 2 Notchback, that was your favorite. But
the Notchback with the little turbo 4.
Yeah.
That sounded like it was internally hemorrhaging when it revved up.
But a lot of great Mustangs. We're gonna talk about that when we come back. Ted is gonna join us, so stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll be right back.
Control.
And if you haven't guessed, we are going to be talking about Mustangs on this segment. Yes, that is right. It is 59 or almost 59 years ago, on the 17th, a couple of days from now, that the Mustang was revealed, and we always like to celebrate that. That's my favorite, the Fastback. I always liked the Fastback. I thought it was even as a kid, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And then I always thought it was cool that those vents were operable, I believe, with so you can get some ventilation in the, I guess it's the, on that car, the sail panel, you would call it. But so when we want to talk Ford Heritage, well, who do we bring on? Well, we bring on Ted Ryan, who is Ford Heritage and Brand Manager. Ted, how are you? And you've got another celebration on your hands, don't you?
I do. The Mustang turns 59 on Monday. We're going to have a online celebration. There's no meetup this time. We just did that with the reveal of the seventh generation S650, but we're going to have a nice online celebration and release. It's going to sort of document and go out exactly how big a sales leader Mustang has been over the years. So it all goes back to Lee Iacocca, more than 59 years ago, 61 years ago, knowing that Ford was falling behind our competition with the youth market and wanting to design a car for the youth market. So he convened a group that began the T5 project, the Special Falcon project, and designed a car that would appeal to the younger generation. And I think he hit a home run with the Mustang.
The biggest home run in automotive history.
Yeah, it's a big business story too, isn't it, Les?
It is. There's a famous speech at the time that talks about the financial impact of the Mustang, not just on Ford Motor Company, but on the automobile industry and our suppliers and the number of workers. I mean, they knew it was going to be a hit, but they didn't know how big a hit. So at first they only had it being built in Detroit. And ultimately, the first 2 years, they opened 2 more factories, one in New Jersey and one in California. So if you got a first-gen Mustang in the first 2 years, you'll have to look and see which of the 3 plants it was built at. And ultimately sold 22,000 the first day, 450,000 the first year, and $1 million in the first 2 years. So I think that's a hit for any vehicle.
Yeah, it's almost
still holds the record.
Yeah. And it's almost you go back to some of Ford's products now, they're so popular, like the Maverick and the Bronco and all that, they just can't build them fast enough. So I guess history repeats itself. But this sort of the Mustang started the whole pony car segment, and you're sort of the last man standing in that right now, right? Or will be.
Will be, and that's part of what we're celebrating with the 59th anniversary too, is the dark horse, the monster. We just introduced the 7th generation last summer. They're just starting to go into production now. Some of the press have gotten to test drive a couple. And then the monster version of that is a dark horse. It's a classic V8, 5-liter engine. So it's got all the power you could want. It can be track ready or it can be road ready. It's one you can do either. And it has one feature. I asked the engineer why, but it has the electronic drift brake, which is a new Ford innovation where they electronically monitor the drifting. And as you pull the handle up, it controls how much pressure goes onto the brake to help you drift. So the dark horse is the last of the monster pony cars like that, or the last, that particular segment of that sports car market. And if anybody buys one, I'm going to tell you now, there's a couple of Easter eggs. One of them, my team worked with, we went back and identified every engine combination, 289, 4-liter, 427, that had ever been used in a Mustang. And so as you raise the hood, underneath the hood, I'm going to leave it to you to guess where it is, but you'll see a long list of all the engine configurations that have been in the Mustang.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
There's a couple of other Easter eggs, but that's the only one I'll give you right now. You'll have to go find the rest yourself.
So you have to buy one, Les. That's what it is. You have to buy one.
You do have to buy it. Well, maybe though, if there's a press version of it, maybe that little list will be in there and we can look for it.
Yeah,
it'll be in there.
That sounds good. That definitely sounds good. Well, what are some fun Mustang stories, Ted, along the way when it was developed? Or, I mean, there's obviously popular ones. I mean, there's all the 60s and 70s. The car grew a little bit, like all cars did in the early
Mach 1s.
Yeah, and they got a little bit bigger, but I actually think they look cool when you see them, because you don't see a lot of the bigger version of it. We were joking with Les before about the Mustang 2, which I thought actually looked good, but it was kind of based on the Pinto. So, but I actually thought it was kind of a nice looking Mustang. It was one of the first kind of throwbacks to the original, sort of the heritage styling.
I like the Mustang too as well. I think it turned into the Capri. So
Yeah,
not
actually,
direct lineage, but
yeah.
the lines harken. I'll tell you, I've got the coolest job in the world. I just got an email Monday morning from the archivist of the Ian Fleming Foundation. For those that don't know, Ian Fleming wrote James Bond,
Right.
and they actually have a fleet of vehicles that were used in the different movies, and they're trying to track down the first Mustang that ever appeared on camera, which was in the movie Goldfinger.
Oh, wow.
You recall at the beginning of Goldfinger that a Mustang is being driven through the European mountains by one of the villainesses, and we're trying to track down that vehicle. So the most famous James Bond Mustang has got to be the Mach 1 that you just showed a
Sure.
variation of
Sure.
that Roger Moore drives through two wheels in Las Vegas. So
Right.
it's appeared in more than 12,000 movies or TV shows, guys. It's one of the most
Man.
filmed cars of all time.
Well, I have to ask, that first one that was on camera in Goldfinger, was that something that Ford arranged, to get the shot in there, or was it just they
Yes.
thought it was a cool car? It was product placement, basically.
It was product placement. Henry Ford II was friends with Broccoli. I can't remember his first name, the producer of the
Yeah.
James Bond series, and that was a out and out negotiated product placement. Interestingly, Henry Ford II's daughter actually appeared as a extra in one of the James Bond movies, Thunderball. They knew each other that well. So most of the times that cars appeared like that, it wasn't placements, but occasionally it was. I don't know if Bullitt was or wasn't. I'm gonna have to go look in our files and see if the famous Steve McQueen 68 green hatchback was a placement or not. But it's probably the most famous movie Mustang of all time.
Yeah.
Except maybe Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. So name your movie and there's probably a Mustang in there.
Yeah, that was the beginning of Goldfinger. Was the blonde in the Mustang. Just conveniently, James Bond's Aston Martin had knockoffs in the wheel axles that came out and slashed her Mustang, which was,
Yeah.
I thought, boy, that's far-fetched, but it's typical of the Bond movies.
And as car guys, we were saying, ugh, look at what they did to that car,
You know who set up that car? Alan Mann Racing set up the Mustang. We had shipped over. Here's another Mustang story. You can wow your friends at trivia tonight. We had shipped over 4 Mustangs to be used in the Tour de France, the arduous 10-day endurance race, which 2 Mustangs actually finished first and second. And Alan Mann Racing was the one in charge of those Tour de France Mustangs, and they borrowed one of those for the filming of Goldfinger. So interestingly, the race car team set up a Mustang that was used in the movie like that.
I wonder if that car's still around.
We're trying to find it. If I find it, the James Bond archivist, the Ian Fleming archivist, for better, more precise, is gung ho to find it. They actually have a couple of different Mustangs, and he invited me to go to Belgium this weekend as they're opening a new exhibit of James Bond film cars. But I told him I had to talk to you guys, and I couldn't go to Belgium.
Well, thanks,
you could have
Ted.
sent
I'm
one
sure.
of us.
Yeah, we could have done the show from over there.
Yeah.
So, we should mention the Ford Heritage Vault, because people are seeing a lot of great shots here. They can go and check them out, can't they? And even, as I said, you can even get the original brochure for the Mustang, which is pretty amazing.
You can. Thank you for reminding me. The Ford Heritage Vault, we launched it last June. I think I talked to you guys when we launched it. We took it on the internet. We just added, and I don't know if you have seen them, Fred and Les, we just added 2,400 international images.
Oh, wow.
So you can begin to get the Australian Ute and the Falcon, and you can get the German Tannis, and we're up to 12,000 images and brochures that are free and available for download. It's FordHeritageVault.com. The user stats are just, I predicted it was going to be popular, guys. I had no idea. There more than 250,000 people from 175 countries have conducted 5 million searches and downloaded 1.5 million images in just 9 months.
Yeah, that is great, Ted.
Well, I'm one of them.
Yeah. It is great, because that stuff would just be sitting there and people wouldn't get to look at it. So Hey, I know you got to run. Ted Ryan, Ford Heritage brand manager, we appreciate you coming on Cruise Control.
Thanks for having me, and happy birthday, Mustang, on Monday. It'll be 59, and for 60, we're going to come up with something special.
All right. Sounds good. We'll be right back.
That's great. Thanks, Ted.
Bye, guys.
Cruise Control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's our on-air magazine as well. I'm Les Jackson. That guy there is Fred Staab. You know him. And, of course, as we always are, we're here to do what we do best, which is talk about
car stuff.
Cars.
Yeah.
Well, the industry.
Yeah.
And the cars.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot going on. In
Yeah.
fact, it's spring, so you can expect a whole lot going on.
Well, one of the things that's going on is SEMA, Specialty Equipment Marketing Association. I always say the most generic name for the most ungeneric show there is. They're going to be launching a TV show, actually called SEMA Launchpad. And it seems like it will sort of be like a Shark Tank type of situation where people are pitching. As you know, if you go to the SEMA show, they always have the new products, and it's very fun to look at the new products. And I remember one of the products that came out, I think it was this year or last year, was a guy that came up with a way that it was a little thing you put under the tire of your car. So, you know, when you're washing the car, the hose would get stuck between the edge of the tire and the ground. Right. So it was something to solve that problem. And I thought, well, that actually is a problem. And it's kind of interesting that someone came up with something to solve it, right? So anyway, they're going to have this product pitching competition. And it will eventually air on the History Channel. Actually, it's airing tonight, believe it or not, on the History Channel. Wow, 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Well, it's actually airing, so I'm sure they will replay it. But interesting idea for a show, right?
It is an interesting idea. And again, that's where you see all these inventions at SEMA.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do at SEMA, to check out the new products and see what the people's ideas are. So cool stuff, and we'll keep you up to date on that as well. And also coming up, something to check out is the reveal of the Lincoln Nautilus. Now, we have not talked a lot about Lincoln lately, but they are going to reveal the new Nautilus in New York, and they kind of put out a brief teaser video of the dashboard, which is a full-width dashboard of the vehicle. They call it an elegant light show, and I think that would be pretty cool to check out, and we'll talk a lot about it when it does come out. Not a lot going on though with Lincoln. You don't really hear much about it, do you?
You don't really hear much about it. They just keep moving along. I mean, I know they sell well. They're popular, but I don't believe they've significantly lowered the average age of the buyers.
Yeah, that is
like Cadillac has.
Yeah. There were reports that there would be no future for the Nautilus and Ford Edge. The Nautilus is based around the Ford Edge, but that is not the case. It appears they are bringing out a new vehicle with that high-end dash. So that will be pretty interesting stuff, and we'll keep you up to date on that when we get more information. Here's an interesting story. When I first heard about this app, I thought, wow, this is kind of a bad idea. And apparently it is. So, are you familiar with the Turo app, Turo app, where you can rent your car out to people?
Yes, I am. This is not something I would do, but
No.
but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. Basically, you become a rental company.
Yeah.
Now, certain people have done this almost sort of like a Uber thing where they buy cars cheaply, and they fix them up and then they just rent them out on Turo to make extra money, right? But this one gentleman had a new Toyota GR Supra, and he rented it out. And the whole idea behind this is you rent this car out; it's not to be used in racing or whatever. But there was a teacher named Gregory Ditch, which is an interesting name, who rented this guy's Toyota GR Supra. And the guy that owned the car said, well, the guy seemed fine. He was, an older guy. He seemed fine. Well, what had happened is the Naperville North High School had a team of students that were competing in the Texas Mile Land Speed Record Competition, which sounds completely fun to go as fast as you can in a mile, right? But not with someone else's car. Like if you're doing it with your car or a car that's prepared for it, that's one thing, okay, that's fine. But this guy thought this guy was just going to take the car out for a weekend cruise. Instead, the thing was driven by a student in the Texas Land Speed Record Competition. They taped off all the body seams. They covered up the license plate. And they did about $4,000 damage to this guy's car. And the teacher Ditch said, that's not your car, but there's actual video of it posted. And it is his car. And he has some aftermarket wheels on it, which were identifiable. And basically, they had a vehicle that the students were going to drive in this competition, but it broke down on the way. So he just he punted, as they say, and rented from Turo.
Well, but you are responsible for all those. I mean, you can't run away from it.
No, but he is in big trouble now. He's going to at least have to pay $4,000.
At least. Probably, well, did he sign any kind of waiver that he wouldn't do anything stupid?
Yes, I think the rental agreement says that there is no racing involved.
Well, in that case, he's going to end up probably with penalty costs.
It's at least $4,000 damage, they said.
It's going to be a very expensive lesson.
Do you remember the guy that rented his Tesla S, I believe, out, and somehow he tracked it down, and the people that rented took the front clip off and were putting aftermarket parts on? They were using it to fit aftermarket parts. So basically, he tracked it to their garage, and the whole front end was off the car.
I would be angry.
I would be. I believe he called the sheriff, and they were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. I would show up with the police.
Yeah. And say,
and probably a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Well, it's apparently when this guy was asked, Ditched, did you do any racing with the car? He started stuttering and saying, I borrowed a vehicle from,
That's why, back in the 60s, when Hertz was, for a short period, was renting the Mustang GT 350s. Those things were just torn up.
Yeah, people would weld in roll cages.
Yeah,
they would
$17 a day and 17 cents a mile. I know this for a fact because we attempted to do it.
And did you weld a roll cage into it or anything like that?
No. What happened was we rented it for Saturday and Sunday, and went to pick it up Saturday morning, and the rental agency said, sorry.
Someone wrecked it.
The two we had were both damaged. So
Yeah.
You know.
Damage beyond repair. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there you have it. I don't know. Is Turo a good idea? You have to think about it for yourself, if it is. Hey,
Yeah.
we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control Radio. Check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com and check us out on YouTube as well. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.